Today I'm building my new productivity and gaming computer. I'll be going with an i9-14900K and a 4080 Super. MSI provided the Project Zero Z790 motherboard for this build. The board is designed with a sturdy 6-layer PCB and features a 14+1+1 power phase system, which will supply my power-hungry chip with stable power delivery. This is the most important factor when using a high-end processor in my opinion. It also comes with Wi-Fi 7, PCI Express 5 for further GPU upgrades. However, it doesn't come with Gen 5 SSD support, which isn't an issue for me. The heatsinks on this thing are the most beautiful I've seen on a motherboard. This thing looks incredible. If aesthetics are important to you, you won't be disappointed. Obviously, the back connections are the selling point of this board, but overall this board is very well rounded. Alright, as already mentioned, I'm going with the 14900K for this build, not because I think it's the best option right now, but because I already had one, so I'm moving it into this system, and this chip in particular hasn't shown any signs of degradation for me. I'll be sure to update to the latest MSI BIOS and microcode. If I was buying today, I'd personally go with a Ryzen 7950X or a 9950X on the AMD platform, but here we are. My operating SSD is a Samsung 990 Pro 1TB. This SSD is 4th gen and is plenty fast for what I'm doing. In the future, I'll add extra drives to this MSI board. After all, this board has 4 slots I can populate as I need. Because the primary use of this computer is productivity and 4K content creation, I'm loading this system up with 96GB of DDR5 RAM from G.SKill. This Trident series RAM does 600 MHz and will eat my content creation workload and will annihilate any game I play. G.SKill has been solid and reliable for me in the past, so that's why I'm sticking with them. Alright, next up, let's install the cooler hardware to the board. I'm not going to install the cooler yet, but just the Z790 hardware that comes with the cooler. Find the LGA 1700 hardware in the cooler box and put the rest aside for now. I'll talk more about the cooler in a bit. All the hardware for all the platforms comes with the cooler, so find the right one and stick it on the back of the board. Then we're going to take the Intel bolts and secure the backplate to the back of the motherboard. MSI sent me the MAG Pano 100L PZ case to build in. It's back connect ready and can fit 10 fans. It has a 270-degree panoramic tempered glass window that is actually really nice. The rear panel is vented and comes with a huge dust filter that's easily removable for cleaning. I'm actually pretty impressed with MSI cases. For the price, you get everything you need in a case. This one also comes with a GPU anti-sag bracket. There's a ton of room to work throughout the case, and it'll be a breeze to build in. I like that the front panel inputs and power reset switches are at the bottom of the windowed side of the case. MSI cases are nice, but they're not top tier when it comes to build quality, which means they're not overpriced, and you're getting exactly what you pay for. Oh, and it's a dual chamber design, where your PSU goes in the back. Dual chamber designs also help with cable management. I also like the hinge doors. This case's default is to mount the GPU vertically. I personally don't like vertical mounted GPUs, so I'm going to switch out the vertical mount with the included horizontal mount. I'm also using a sound card in the system, so a vertical mounted GPU wouldn't work. As you can see, this case is very roomy. It's going to be very easy to build in. Let's get this motherboard installed. The case comes with the required 9 standoff screws already in place, so it's just a matter of lining up the motherboard and using the included screws to fasten the motherboard to the case. Here's a look at the motherboard connections on the back. Alright, time to get these front panel connections connected. I'll start with the USB-A connector. And this is the USB-C. And this is the power reset activity LEDs connector for the front panel. This is usually very stressful to install for most people when they're building their first computer. MSI is sort of like an all-in-one header jack that just gets installed to the header on the motherboard. Simple. This is the HD audio front panel audio jack. It goes right here. I'm not going to install it because I'm using that sound card I mentioned earlier. For the case fans, MSI sent me 7 of their Easy 120 ARGB fans to use. These fans are held together magnetically and they use these neat little blocks to wire together. These were super easy to install and minimal cables to route makes them look clean. Also, these fans come with a fan controller that makes connecting to the motherboard and controlling them all easy. No wonder MSI labeled these fans Easy 120. Yes, these fans are convenient and they are decent, but after looking at the price of these fans, I personally wouldn't buy them for myself. Unless you absolutely need these type of cableless connecting fans and need brand matching fans, I'd go with something else. They're just too pricey for me when other fans do the exact same thing, albeit they may need some more cable management compared to these fans. I do appreciate MSI for making these fans though in order to add competition into the already way overpriced cableless design fan market, which includes the likes of Corsair's iLink. One thing I will say about this case is all the cable management holes are perfectly lined out, designed perfectly so that you never have to run a cable through a hole that you don't want to. This is the included fan controller that comes with a 3-pack of these fans. You're able to group 4 groupings of these fans into this controller. And then you just require SATA power to the controller and then a USB connection into the motherboard. And of course an RGB connector and a PWM 4-pin connector. Alright, now onto the PSU that MSI also sent me. This is the MAG A1250GL PCI Express 5.1 and ATX 3.1 PSU. This thing is overkill for this build. I probably only needed an 850 watt unit with the components I'm using, but 1250 watts it is because that's what MSI sent me. I've never used an MSI power supply before. I've always used either Corsair, Seasonic, or EVGA, so I'll see how this one is. If I have any issues with it long term, I'll be sure to update the pinned comment on this video. For this build, I'll need to connect the 24-pin connector, 2 8-pin CPU connectors, the 16-pin GPU connector, and a SATA power connector. Once those are all connected, let's install this thing into the case, making sure that the intake fan for the power supply is facing outwards. On to the liquid cooler. MSI also supplied this. It's their MAG Coreliquid E360mm all-in-one liquid cooler. I was a bit skeptical using this, thinking that it won't be able to keep the hot 14900K cool and that I'll need to change it out after this video upload, but this cooler does a very good job. It's simple, elegant, and does what a cooler needs to do. There's no need for me to change it. When I was encoding my videos, the CPU ran between 50 and 60 degrees with small spikes up into the 80s. Idling was always under 40. All while the fans were set to 50% speed. I am impressed with this cooler, MSI. So let's get this thing installed. It would be nice if the cooler came with their easy fans as well, just to keep cable clutter down and ease of installation up, and to stay consistent with the fans of the case. But I think this cooler released a while ago, so it makes sense that it doesn't come with the easy fans. So we'll just have to do it the old school way, connecting each individual fan and ARGB together. Here, I'm just daisy chaining all the RGB connectors from each fan together so that I only need one RGB connector going to the motherboard. And there's an included fan splitter for powering all your fans together, so you only need one connection to the motherboard. I accidentally put the fans the wrong way, so I'll have to take them off, rotate them, put them back on. That's better. Now the fan cables are going towards the back of the case. In a lot of cases, it's kind of hard to run all the fan cables, RGB cables from your all-in-one cooler from the radiator to the back, just because there isn't that much space in the case. But with this case, it was so easy to run all the cables with the all-in-one radiator already installed, just because there's so much room to work with. There's so much clearance above the motherboard. Alright, let's get some thermal paste onto the CPU and then we can finally install the cold plate to the CPU. This is very painful to watch, I'm sorry. I was leaning over in an awkward position and I was using one hand. When snugging up your screws that secure the CPU cooler down, just make sure you're going in a star pattern just to distribute even force, and don't go too tight. Installation of this thing went very well. I really like how the pump block thing can be rotated so it's always right side up depending on the orientation of the block install. It's pretty neat actually. And don't forget to take all your little peelies off. Next order of biz is the video card. I went with the MSI Gaming Slim RTX 4080 Super. This thing will destroy my 4K content creation tasks and will comfortably annihilate any game I play at 1440p. MSI didn't supply me with the video card, they supplied me with all the other MSI stuff, but not this. I had to buy it with my own money. Poor me, hey? Alright, I just wanted to mention that I completely forgot to install the included GPU anti-sag bracket that came with the case. I completely forgot about it, I didn't install it. I just wanted to mention that this case does come with one, which is a very nice feature for cases when a lot of cases don't give a anti-sag bracket for the GPU. Alright, the last thing we're going to install is the Creative Labs Sound Blaster AE7. Now, do you need a sound card? No. But I'm a bit of an audio snob and I like having one. Creative sent me this for a previous build, and since this is going to be my main computer, I want it in this PC. So I'm going to slip it into the bottom X16 slot and use it. I've built a lot of computers over the last 15 or 16, 17 years or so, and I'd have to say this is the most aesthetically pleasing one I've done. Looking at this cable management, it definitely could use some work, but this case is designed to be able to hide all of it. It's all going to be hidden, so I'm not even going to bother. One more thing I appreciate this case for. I just wanted to go over a few thoughts. Overall, I really did enjoy the build experience with these components, the Project Zero motherboard and this case. If you want an all MSI system, I do recommend all these parts. Maybe not necessarily an LGA 1700 platform for reasons regarding the Intel CPU issues that you can research on your own. Every component that MSI provided me with did exceed my expectations for the most part. Full disclosure, I am an MSI fanboy. And although I did try to do my best to be objective about this review, keep that in mind. If I do have any issues with any of the components, I'll update the pinned comment in this video. Alright, let's continue buttoning everything back up. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did creating it. I love creating these videos, so well, thank you for taking the time to watch it is what I'm trying to say. Once everything's buttoned back up, we're going to spool this bad boy up, and I hope you enjoy the very amateurish cinematic video montage that I put together at the end of this video of this absolutely gorgeous computer system, Project Zero MSI.